Okay, so today we are going to be discussing arithmetic sequences. These are sequences that use addition or subtraction to get to the next term in the sequence. Okay, so it's just add or subtract, basically. So what we're going to use today is what we're going to use what we call the explicit formula. This is a formula we can derive from any sequence if we know at least a couple of terms in the sequence that will let us be able to find any term in the sequence. Not just like the next couple terms, but like the 500th term or the 1000th term, or in this case, we're going to be finding the 30th term today. So the formula, how it's written, is like this. A sub n equals the difference times n, or d times n, plus b. And I'm going to define what all these terms are just right here. So a sub n is just the term in the sequence. Okay? So if it's the first term in the sequence, it would be a sub 1. Okay? The n is place in sequence. I know that seems a little redundant, because it kind of is, but this is basically what it is equal to, or whatever, and n is the place in the sequence. So basically n is interchangeable for where we are, and this is referring to the specific term in the sequence. Okay, now the d is what we call the common difference. This is the number that you are adding or subtracting by to get the next term. Okay? This is one of the big things we need to find when we're finding a specific term in the sequence. Okay? The last thing is that b is what we call, and I'm going to put it over here, b is the zero term. And this is technically not part of the sequence because it's a zero term and we start at the first term, but this is the term that would come before the first term. So term that comes before the first term. Sorry, I probably should have written this on another page, but I didn't. Okay, so we are going to be using this formula to solve solve for specific terms in our sequence. So what it's going to ask us to do today is to find the explicit formula for each sequence, and then use that formula to find the 30th term. Now, I know I'm skipping number 1 in these notes here, but I'm going to come back to them. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit because I want to show you a nice, easy problem before I get to the number 1. So, basically, to find the specific formula for a term, I need to find two things. I need to find the difference, and I need to find a zero term. Okay? The n's and the a sub n stay there. I'm just subbing out two numbers. So I need to figure out what it's adding or subtracting by and what term would come before the first term. So let's look at number 3 here. This one goes from 1 to -5 to -11 to -17. So if it's going down, that means that it has to be subtraction, right? I just need to figure out by what number it's subtracting. So from 1 to -5 would be subtracting 6, right? Now let's say I don't know or can't figure out what it's subtracting by. One thing I can always do to figure out what it's subtracting by is do the second term, so -5, minus the first term, so -1. And that'll tell me that it's subtracting by -6. Negative just means it's minusing. Okay? So it's subtracting by 6. And we have to make sure that it's doing this to all of these to be arithmetic. Arithmetic sequences are adding and subtracting the same number each time. So -5 minus 6 would be -11. -11 minus 6 is -17. So this is arithmetic, it's fine. So I'm going to start by writing my formula. A sub n is equal to, my common difference is going to be -6, so -6n. Now I need to figure out my zero term. So if this is going down 6, that means if I go to the term that would come before the first term, I'd have to go up 6, right? If I'm going backwards, like from -5 to 1, I'm going up 6, right? So if I go back, I would end up at +7 because I had to go up 6. So +7 means I would add 7. That is my explicit formula. It's just the common difference times n plus the zero term. Okay? Now we can use this to find any term in the sequence. The instructions say I want to find the 30th term. So to find the 30th term, I'm just going to replace these n's with 30. So a sub 30 equals -6 times 30 plus 7. Again, a sub 30 just means the 30th term. I don't actually have to do anything with it. It's just identifying what term it is. I am just focusing on this for the math. That's all I have to do. That's all I have to enter in my calculator, basically. So, in my calculator, -6 times 30 plus 7 is -173. So that tells me if I keep going down 6 30 times, I'm going to end up at -173 is going to be the 30th term in that sequence. Okay, let's do another one. So let's look at number 5 here. This one starts at 26, so that's its first term, right? The next term is 33. So let's figure out that difference. It would be 4, 7. So it's going up by 7. So let's make sure it's going up by 7 each time. So going up by 7, going up by 7, going up by 7, yeah. So it's arithmetic. So then I write my formula, a sub n equals 7 times n. And then I figure out my first term. So if it's going up 7, if I go backwards, I'd have to go down 7, right? So if I go to the term that would come before my first term, I'd have to go down 7, which would be 19. Okay? So that would be my zero term. That's my B. Right there, that's B. Okay? That's the B. Again, this is the B, the zero term. Okay? So it's +19, so I would add 19. Now I find the 30th term. So again, I just replace the n's with 30. So 7 times 30 plus 19. And then I plug that into my calculator. 7 times 30 plus 19 is 229. So the 30th term in this sequence is just going to be 229. And that would be the 30th term. Okay? Technically, this is an answer too, so I should box these in as well. This is my work. This is me showing my work. These are my answers. Okay, let's do a couple more. So let's look at number 7 here. So again, to be arithmetic, it needs to be going up or down the same number. So let's see. -1 to 2 is going up 3. 2 to 7 is going up 4, or not 4, 5. 7, 14, 7. Yeah, this is not adding the same number each time. So if this happens, we can't use the explicit formula. This is not an arithmetic sequence. In order to be arithmetic, it has to be adding or subtracting the same number each time. So for something like this, I just write not arithmetic, NA. Okay? And in your quiz, you'll probably, I think it'll just have you write NA. You don't have to worry about that dash. So NA. Not arithmetic is what that means. Okay? Let's go back up to the first problem because I want to show you guys how to do this. So this is a fraction. It is going down. It's getting smaller, right? as we go. So with subtracting, notice the denominator doesn't change because, again, if you're subtracting a fraction from a fraction, as long as they have the same denominator, all you're doing is taking away stuff from the top. So basically, I'm going to focus on what's happening to the top here. To go from -1 to -7, I would have to take away 6. So let's make sure that's consistent. Taking away 6, taking away 6, yeah. So what my common difference is going to be here is -6, but it is a fraction, right? And since it's staying a fraction, that means I'm subtracting a fraction. It's actually -6 over 9. Okay, so my common difference is going to be a fraction. So it'll be a sub n is equal to -6 over 9n. And then my zero term is also going to be a fraction. I'm going to go up 6 from -1, which would be 5 over 9. So plus 5 over 9. So again, then to find a 30th term, a sub n is equal to -6 times 9, or 6 over 9, times 30. Sorry, that should be 32. And plus 5 over 9. Okay, now that looks scary, right? But guess what button is on your calculator? You have a fraction button right there, right? A box over a box. So when I type it in my calculator, I would type in -6 fraction 9 multiplying with 30 plus 5 fraction button 9. Your calculator will do all the work for you. Don't be afraid of fractions. Like you're past that point, guys. Just put it in your calculator. And you'll get a fraction, surprise, surprise, is your answer. The 30th term would stay a fraction because everything in this sequence is a fraction. -175 over 9. So the 30th term is -175 over 9. And that would be an answer. And the formula is also an answer. So I need to make sure I box that in too. Those are my two answers. Okay. If you guys have any questions or concerns, talk to your teachers. We're here to help. We want to help, and I'll see you guys out there.